What's up, YouTube? I've been wanting to do this for a while, and I wanted to speak from a perspective, I guess, of a first generation farmer because I get asked a lot of questions about would you be willing to speak to a little bit or be able to talk about being a first gen guy. And I've been meaning to make a video like this and have not made a video like this. So, um, you know, I guess now, 4 years in now, when I first started posting on YouTube, we were brand new to farming. And so it's hard to believe 4 years in. Um, as a first generation guy, the journey in farming is a little bit different than a multi-generational guy. And I hear a lot of guys knock multi-generational guys. I don't, multi-generational guy is just what it is, multi-generational guy. And I would hope if you're multi-generational, there is some path for success or whatever in your operation. I don't really get caught up into that because I don't really get caught up into what other people are doing. I never really been one to be like, I'm keeping up with the Joneses or whatever. I do what makes me happy or, set accomplishments for myself, not about what the next man says, you need or would look good on your farm or in your life. And I think that's always been one thing for me, which I would segue. As, a first generation farmer, me personally, I want to give a disclaimer that these are my experiences, mine solely. I come from a farming family, but I don't come from a multi-generational farming family. Growing up, I was told to go to school, go to college, get my degree, go get a job. Growing up, you saw that farming was something hard for people in my family, and they wanted something. At that time, they looked at it as an opportunity. They wanted more opportunity for their kids and stuff like that. So they wanted you to go to school and get a job and live a little bit of an easier life, I guess. And they said, because farming is not easy. A lot of people always say, oh, farming is easy. Farming is not easy. But one thing as a farmer or as a kid or anybody that was around farming is always in your blood. You can't get it out. Even if you hate it, you still can't get it out because you're somewhat attached to it. Now, I didn't hate it. I loved it. I came out of an ag community, and as you can see, I came right back to it. I have my cousin to thank for that because I wasn't really planning on coming back to it this soon. But, it is what it is. I'm thankful that I did. I've learned a lot in it. But as a first generation guy, I want to share some things that I've learned. A disclaimer that I've learned that worked for us, me. And when I say work for us, me, take it as advice, but don't take it as the Bible or the law for your operational farm, whatever your term may be for it. Find your way that works for you. I tell anybody that's gonna start farming you got to be resilient. TikTok videos and Instagram and YouTube can be real misleading real quickly. It's a lot of underlying struggle that doesn't get posted into these farming videos or any farming videos or social media, even ours included, that people don't see. A lot of sacrifices, a lot of time, a lot of doing without. And what I mean by doing without, you start from scratch. You can't start out with everything that you need at an instant. There's gonna be some uncomfortable moments. And what I mean by uncomfortable moments, you don't have the luxury of having every tool, every piece of equipment that you would have if you were established or had a buttload of money to start out and buy everything that you need. So you either gonna have to depend on some other people or do the best you can with what you got. And that's one thing that we always learn. when we started out farming, I remember we had 2 cars, no trucks, 1 socket set, and an air compressor. And I remember at the time, I think we might have had like a 350-pound impact or something, and that was it. Then we stepped up to the Harbor Freight red impact. That was the Snap-on knockoff, and that was it, and some air tubes. But it was real. It was a real kind of a struggle. You constantly had to mass tools, mass supplies, and things that you needed just to fix on the equipment that you had. I remember not even having a diesel tank, having to go borrow another farmer's diesel tank our first year to put diesel in our tractor because we didn't have one. That was a humble beginnings, and I remember just having to do without. But it's how bad you want it. I said, you got to be resilient. It's not going to be comfortable. We started out with just the 4850, and we started out with that 7100 and a 496 that first year. But it wasn't, would I like to have more? Yes, but it's a marathon, it's not a sprint. So you got to work your way into it. And that's one of the things, the basically the summary of that is you got to do without. You got to crawl before you can walk, and you got to walk before you can run. And don't get to a point where you get up and you start running before you should have walked, if you know what I mean. Build yourself up and build that momentum. The other thing that I would tell you, I would say build relationships and realize that you can learn anything from anyone. Anyone. I have said this and I've said it in a previous video. I learned something from everyone. Some of the people that teach you the most are some of the farm workers, not the actual owners of the farm workers, people out here doing it every day, just observing. I'm not talking about the equipment that my neighbor got or anything like that, or neighbors, just observing the things that go on in the environment that's around you. Networking with other farmers on the internet, in real life, to figure out what they're doing, what works for them, what don't work for them, truthfully, and taking that, and seeing how that could be applied in our operation. And that helps out a lot. Being very humble to ask questions. If you go into this thing acting like you know everything, acting like you got all the answers, it's gonna cut you. It's gonna cut you deep, quick. You gotta be humble, because I don't care who you are. You learn something new every day. One of the other things that I can tell a first generation guy, premature expansion will kill you faster than anything. You get a lot of young first generation guys who jump out there. And I mean, if expansion works for you, if expansion is there and you see and you can make it, you can make a cash flow, be my guest. If you feel like you cash flowing strong, whatever you got when you started out, and you can cash flow on that, and you got the support, and you got what you need, go for it. But premature expansion can kill you too. I've turned down ground that I felt that I couldn't make money off of, or keep that I would go in the red to take that ground on. And when I'm not saying we've turned down that ground, because if at this point in the infancy of this operation, I may not have the resources to bring a piece of ground to where it needs to be if it's been beat to death. And so I'm gonna have to pass on that. But that keeps me alive. And so I say that to any young farmer want to come into this, don't get into premature expansion. The other thing that I'm gonna tell you, and people could take this how they want to, Learn how to work on your own stuff to a certain extent. And me and my cousin always call it beating and banging. You know, learn how to beat and bang. You know, I mean, I ain't necessarily out here actually beating and banging, but learn how to, work on your stuff. Learn how your equipment works. Know what, research the issues that people have. I mean, there's plenty of Facebook groups out here dedicated to certain pieces of equipment where people have similar problems, and there's a lot of money that you can save as far as sometimes working on your own equipment. I think if you're not mechanically inclined, try to become somewhat mechanically inclined, because at the end of the day, yeah, we have to take our equipment to deal, and we spend money when we go to deal. But there's been a lot of times that I have not went to deal, and I've saved a lot of money, and that's been a big blessing. And so, kind of learn, how to somewhat become mechanically inclined. Take the money that you would spend to deal and invest that in tools to help do your job and do a job, instead of, just pissing that money away. You investing in yourself in the long run. The amount of tools that we've started to kind of amass has been kind of a blessing. Now we lose them sometimes. We plant wrenches at times, and you have to replenish the tools at times. But it's still, it works out. And I guess one of the last tidbits I'll leave you guys with is, invest in the soil fertility that as much as allowed. And even if you had to diversify a little bit, some guys sell seeds. People like us, we got jobs, and then we farm. Starting out, if it doesn't allow, basically, like I said, don't totally try to depend on farm income. You want to get to a point that you can depend on farm income, but, kind of give it a little bit of time. You know what I'm saying? Like, take your time. Don't put yourself in such a bind. And if you can stomach working and farming, that allows you to invest more into the foundation of your farm so it can stand on its own too. That I think is a big tidbit. Again, total disclaimer. And I'm pretty sure y'all hear my dog snoring in the background. He's probably bored with me talking. But total disclaimer. This is for us. This is how it's worked for us. You gotta kind of find your own niche. But I'm gonna give you one more tidbit I'll say. Do it because you love it. Don't do it to get rich. Don't do it when money is your main motivation. Do it because you love it. Because you would never, this is your dream and this is what you want to do. And you want to build something for the future. Don't do it for the wrong reasons. Because if you do it for the wrong reasons, it's going to come out. And you're not going to get as a polished product as you're going to get if you do it from the heart. If you know where your heart is with this, because it's going to be some tough times, but if your heart in it, you're going to push forward. Just have faith with it. And I might do some more videos like this, kind of to tell some stories from experience about some of the stuff we went through in the last few years. But, like I said, do it because you love it. Don't do it just because I want to get rich and I see my neighbor down the road with 3R series and BTO, couple S series, and I want to be like him. I want to be the next big man on the block. I want clout. Clout is worse than anything. Clout is a drug now. And don't do it for clout. Do it for the right reasons. Be sincere with it. But I just wanted to share that. This is a little bit long. I've been rambling for about 14, 15 minutes. But I just wanted to talk about that, and I guess I'll sign off. But I appreciate it if you sat here and listened to this video, that you sat here and took a few tidbits from it. Talk to you guys later.